And today I have with me Karen Strange, who's a certified professional midwife and professional instructor of neonatal resuscitation and very highly trained in so many different ways. And she's going to be our responder to this adversity panel that I've pulled together about the baby's experience. So, Karen, what do you want people to know about you? Just give a little je ne sais quoi.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Kate. That's
Mm-hmm.
number one. I'm thrilled to be here. What do I want people to know? Well, I guess the most important piece is, what do I bring? What do I bring to conversations with people, friends, people that I work with, training. I teach a lot of people,
Yes.
taught over 10,000 people how to resuscitate a newborn at birth. That what we bring to our experience impacts how we are. And that's not just, it's not just all the stuff that you can learn, but it's actually even clinical skills, and especially clinical skills in an emergency. How critical it is to be aware of what's going on here, and maybe noticing what's going on here before you move forward. And maybe we need to take a little moment to settle this. And it takes just a moment.
Yeah.
Even if you're in a life-death situation and delivering breath to an adult, but I teach about newborns at birth and that transition, that it's really important to have a little practice. And I love to talk about that little practice. I try to bring that practice into my own experience, but certainly it's part of my teaching. It's part of my how I teach emergency skills. That is often the missing piece when we teach clinical skills, that where we are and how we are with ourselves impacts what we do. And I guess just sharing that and bringing that into everything that I do.
Yes. And that you've been a phenomenal teacher of many, including me. And you've also been a wonderful friend. And you have also pioneered the baby's experience of in the work that you do with neonatal resuscitation. And so I know you're changing the world's experience around the profession of helping babies. And so it is really an honor to have you be a responder for this adversity panel. And one of the reasons why I asked you is because I know that you really help professionals and parents with what you call, is it like a debrief, professional debriefs or explore
case
review? Yes. And you've helped people understand the baby's experience and their experience. So would you be willing to share just a little bit about this practice that you do?
Sure. Except I wanna include a little bit about sort of how that happened, and which is where I met you, learning a little bit about my own birth experience, and then I just was like, oh my God, imagine what that's like for a baby that's been resuscitated. That process of birth, that they're conscious and aware and having an experience and making a decision about what just happened and living from that decision from that point on. That, like, oh my God, I teach all these people, they have to know about the baby's experience. And then I just became wildly passionate about learning more and sharing everything that I learned. But yeah, it just sort of evolved, that because I teach neonatal resuscitation of the newborn, people started calling me to tell me about the resuscitations that had experienced, whether there were small resuscitations or big ones, whether the baby lived or not. So it's been a little bit of a journey, but as I learned a little bit more about what was healing for babies, that of course became the guide with which to do these debriefs and the guide with which I teach my classes. So yes, people call me, we do a case debrief, and we start with, most of the time, a pause, right? It's really important to start with a pause, and especially after a big trauma. Mm-hmm. And it's very shocking to the system to have experienced that. And often there's a lot of reflection, just, before we even begin, just, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about what happened. And I know this is big. And I want to really acknowledge that before we begin. And then there are often pauses throughout that, throughout the storytelling, getting the facts, the clinical picture, right? There's reflection, there's naming. All of that is really important to how we make sense of the experience, just clinically, and what could be done differently, and maybe what got missed. Certainly that's all part of it, but more important is how we take it in and being able to actually hear me and be reflected in the depth of the experience, because I've been there myself.
Right.
As a midwife, I've been involved in quite a few resuscitations and a very complex, difficult resuscitation. So I understand that place, and I understand how important it is to really slow the pace to go into it.
Yes. Right. Well, I think that you're a treasure, and that the people listening, I know that they'll be able to find you through your website, KarenStrange.com.
Yeah.
And I know it's a tradition also in midwifery to do case review, much more peer review. It's not the same. What you do is different. But I feel like this service, which is what I train professionals also to do, to really help families and professionals make sense of what happened, and with tools. And that's what you've helped bring more to our profession, of really understanding what are those tools to help families understand difficult births, and also to understand the baby's experience. So,
and Kate, I would say that yes, I do it with birth professionals, midwives usually, but also even if you're just watching, the vicarious trauma that occurs just being in the room. And I've done debriefs with parents. So it's really critical to realize that it's not just the provider, and it is different than peer review. Peer review is your peer, and how you look to them and how you appear to them, and you have a vested interest. I mean, I sometimes know the people, but my vested interest is that there's some healing here, healing and learning. So it's a little bit different. It's quite different actually than peer review.
I think it's quite different. I feel very fortunate to have you as a responder to this panel, and to be able to help us illuminate the baby's experience, and then what possible tools that we can co-create in this transdisciplinary approach to make a difference, in our world on human development from the very start. So thank you for coming, Karen, and we'll see you in the panel speaking. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Kate. Look forward to it.